Welcome back to another episode of Men's Inner Health with Mark Randall. One of the reasons over the years of being in therapy, one as a client myself, but two now as a professional, I've just learnt that one of the things that we men lack is a due diligence or the ability to process our emotional brains. And the emotional brains they're very powerful. And a lot of emotions are experienced in relationships, and we're all in relationships. We've got relationships to our partners, our children, our parents, our brothers and sisters, friends, etc., etc. But the intimate relationships is where a lot of emotion is expressed. It's something like 83%, I believe, of our communication is non-verbal. And I think I've mentioned in other episodes that a lot of our emotions are emoted through our facial expressions. And anyway, I don't want to go back to... and it's one of the things that we men are really need a lot of work on. And it's not a criticism or a judgment. I think we've probably had a shit full of that. So I don't want to be in that. Yeah, I just want to honour it. We've got work to do, and and men are starting to put their hands up. I'm seeing a lot more. In the early days, there weren't a lot of men coming, but now there are. And the emotional landscape of our relationship is a really interesting dynamic. I jokingly sort of say that, when we've got a really good invisible connection with our wife or our partner, there's a lovely energy flowing between us. But when things go a bit south or a bit of, disagree, sometimes we'll disconnect. And I don't know about you, but the energy in the house, it's like we're civil to each other, but there's this sort of invisible energy, you can cut the air with, I'm joking, but you can cut the air with a knife, so to speak. There's that discomfort. We're civil, but there's something, and who's going to be the one, if we prick that bubble, it's back to World War 30 million. He said, she said, prove, disprove. And so as men, we prefer not to prick the bubble, because if the bubble gets pricked and we've got to have these deep and meaningful conversations, sometimes it's like, for us, it's foot and mouth disease, I don't know. And then our partners are getting annoyed with us. It could be this, it could be that. Our ego's getting in the way there. Well, I'm feeling really inadequate, I can't explain myself, etc., etc. Now, the more we prefer to just sleep on that. Just go to sleep and it'll be better the next day. Yeah, it might be. However, the issue that was present, it may go away, but it will go away unresolved. And then it might poke itself up again down the track. And it's like, how do we learn to, how do we learn to have the deep and meaningful conversations where we can perhaps take the ego out of it and actually connect to the emotional side of what the problem is? Generally there'll be some sort of emotional hurt. We've either said something, done something, or our action or inaction has hurt our partner's feelings. Women are generally more in touch with their emotions and their intuitive self. And they can, believe it or not, guess what? They can read us better than we can read ourselves. And when they try to reflect that to us, we then get our noses out of joint. No, that's not right. And it's how do we let the ego go to be able to reflect and have a more of a process of self-reflection. When we're in the emotional space, we prefer to take it back up into the thinking brain. It's right, wrong, black, white, 2 + 2 = 4. But sometimes it's how do we just have that gentle self-discovery conversation with our partners. How do we hear physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually what they're experiencing? Now, okay, sometimes it might come out as criticism and what have I done wrong now? Okay, if that's the case, then how do we invite our partners? Look, if you want to have these sort of conversations, could you do it with a much softer language, or a more of affectionate language? So I'm going to be more open to want to explore the emotion. And the more we develop the emotional brains and become more content with being with the emotions, good, painful ones, not so painful ones, happy ones, discomforting emotions, we start to develop more empathy for each other. And it's how do we just allow ourselves to, we're not inadequate because we don't know what it feels like. That's the learning stages that we men need to start diving into a little bit more. Instead of bottling it all up, when we've got a dam full of old issues, and we've got the dam wall starting to crack, and when it cracks a little bit, anger comes through. But when we're holding all that backlog of stuff back, how do we then connect to our inner essence, to that unconditional, beautiful, unconditional love that we do have as men? We men are spiritual beings as well. That unconditional love, when there's the backlog, when the dam's full and it's starting to overflow, we get a couple more issues. Instead of filling the dam, how do we just start to explore so that we have less water banking up, and we don't have to have the wall holding all that water back? How do we open up? How do we have these deep and meaningful conversations with our partners? It's not about getting it right or wrong, it's just an exploration. When the invisible elephant's in the room, we're being civil to each other, the connection's not there. And that's not, that's not pleasant when the connection's not there. It's civil, we're just going through the mill. But how do we take responsibility for opening up a deep, meaningful conversation about that felt sense of that energy, that invisible elephant sitting in the room? Because the more we start to do that, the better the connection. We can work through the issues that have caused that disconnect. Be gentle and enjoy.